Goldberg is retiring this weekend. I know, tragic. Now, it's expected Goldberg is going to do the job to Gunther. But what if Goldberg beats Gunther and becomes World Heavyweight Champion? Well, in this video, we played that scenario out to see if Goldberg can really live up to the hype. So let's set the story. Saturday night's main event, July 12th. Goldberg does the unthinkable and defeats Gunther cleanly to become World Heavyweight Champion. So what happens now? Well, because of the insane circumstances, Goldberg gets a contract extension that lasts through WrestleMania. Because let's be real, ending the video here right now would be very lame. Also, one more thing about Gunther. No title shot for you, bub. If you can't beat Goldberg and get squashed in 3 minutes, back the line. Get out of here. So the question is, who's going to challenge Goldberg at SummerSlam since that's the next pay-per-view? Well, it's none other than another guy who's old, beaten down, kind of washed. It's CM Punk, who wins a #1 contendership match to get this shot against Goldberg. CM Punk is shocked that Gunther actually lost to Goldberg, but CM Punk, claiming to be the best in the world still after losing to John Cena, is going to prove it once again when he takes away the World Heavyweight Championship from Goldberg and saves the WWE from this misery. I hope. And now we're at SummerSlam, where Goldberg has his first World Championship defense against CM Punk. Can CM Punk end Goldberg's retirement run early, or will Goldberg once again put down another guy? Well, Goldberg does things in this match that are very unexpected. Chain wrestling? Dives off the top rope? Who the f is this guy? But, of course, because this is Goldberg, he does rely on his old spear and jackhammer combo. That doesn't really work as CM Punk puts up a fight, but at the end of the day, Goldberg with one more spear is able to pin CM Punk and retain the World Championship. Wow, Goldberg has decimated the main event scene on Raw. What a guy, right? Unfortunately for Goldberg, his title reign would be cut short, as Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker take out both CM Punk and Goldberg. CM Punk because he hates Seth. And Seth comes out to cash in Money in the Bank. And because Goldberg is beaten down and Punk is out of the picture, Seth Rollins does a curb stomp and that is it. One curb stomp and a beatdown. And Seth Rollins wins the World Championship from Goldberg. But unlucky for Seth, Goldberg signed a contract extension through WrestleMania 42. So Goldberg is going to be coming back for Seth Rollins. Because this is Goldberg, he also doesn't really show up on Raw for the majority of the build because it's fucking Goldberg. What do you expect? And we fast forward a few weeks until we get to Bash at Berlin, where Seth Rollins, the new World Heavyweight Champion, defends against an old aging Goldberg who wants revenge. Of course, Seth Rollins also has his B&B security as well as Paul Heyman in his corner, so the odds look pretty grim for Goldberg, but for some reason, despite being there, they do absolutely nothing. They just stand around and react and don't do anything. They're like react tubers. But because it's a Goldberg match, he does do a spear and he does do a jackhammer, but Seth is able to survive him. Meanwhile, Seth cuts open Goldberg with a knee, and Goldberg just gushes blood. Like, he is a complete bloody mess. The mat is completely filled with blood. It is a nasty scene. But despite all the advantages that Seth Rollins had, he blew it. A clothesline by Goldberg gets him the 3, and Goldberg wins back the World Championship 3 weeks later, while his friends on the ringside did absolutely nothing. Goldberg is World Champion again. With Goldberg riding high, he decides to do something a bit unexpected. The next pay-per-view is NXT No Mercy. Obafemi has retained the NXT Championship against, I don't know, Wesley. And Goldberg comes out on NXT, confronts Obafemi, and wants a title shot against him. I know, a bit crazy that Goldberg is going to NXT, but Goldberg is high on his own supply, and he wants to capture everything and ruin wrestling like John Cena couldn't do. As for the Raw side, Seth Rollins belittles his entire teammates and says, "You're all worthless, you're stupid, and all of you are fired. Alright, I don't need you guys anymore." So Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, and Paul Heyman were all fired, and Seth is on his own. With Seth ridding himself of his, well, cronies, he wants one more match against Goldberg, but with a stipulation. So at Saturday night's main event, Goldberg and Seth Rollins have a good old contract signing. But this isn't going to be an ordinary match. No. This is going to be a Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood. So at Bad Blood, Seth Rollins gets one more shot at the World Championship inside a Hell in a Cell with no interference, no CM Punk, no nothing. Can he finish the job and win back the title, or will Goldberg once again do it? Well, this match, it was actually really lame. For a Hell in a Cell match, you'd think it would be the most barbaric, hardcore, extreme match you've ever seen. But no, this was really tame. Like, just not even any weapons. There weren't any weapons used in this match. Unbelievable. These two fucks. The two men trade finishers. Goldberg with, of course, his spear jackhammer. Didn't work. And Seth Rollins does a curb stomp, which doesn't work either. So now we come down to the final tidbit. And Goldberg wins with a roll-up. Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even know Goldberg could do roll-ups, but he could. And with that, Goldberg once again retains the World Championship, putting Seth Rollins down for good, and Goldberg is going to continue his run. After the match, Gunther makes his return to the WWE after being mocked and ridiculed by me. He's back and he's taking out the World Champion in Goldberg. Why? Well, on the Raw following, Gunther comes out and reveals why he did what he did. He's back because he wants revenge against the man that ruined his career. He also has gathered up all the other guys that hate Goldberg just as much as he does, except Bret Hart because he's retired. And they're all going to team up to take on Goldberg in War Games so they could permanently end him for good. Maybe. So Goldberg, being hated by everybody, is going to have to find a team of people that will actually be willing to team up with him. But before we can get to War Games, we have one more show. Remember that Obafemi match with Goldberg? Well, yeah, it's going to happen now at NXT Halloween Havoc. Obafemi defends the NXT Championship against Goldberg. Now, of course, with the 55-year-old Goldberg taking on the young and up-and-coming Obafemi, who's looking to be the next big thing, surely Obafemi is going to get the biggest win of his career here, right? Well, no. Goldberg beat Obafemi clean with the spear, and he wins the NXT Championship. Unfucking believable, Bill. There you go. Once again, destroying the main event scene and burying talent. What else is new? But now we go into War Games, where Gunther has gotten together a team of people with one goal, that they hate Bill Goldberg, even if they hate each other. So Goldberg now has to form his own team. And the team he forms is a bit of a weird one. He first takes Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, the former B&B security of Seth Rollins, to add him to his team. And he gets one more guy, and that is Ivar. Why Ivar, you might ask? I don't know. God just wanted it, so that's what God's getting. So a War Games match between these two teams. Goldberg, being the man he is, a man of, well, I guess by this video, being a selfish, self-centered prick, decides to actually start off the War Games match for his team because he's a big, strong guy. So Goldberg goes to work for like 20 minutes in a War Games match. And he almost does pick up the win for his team, but with Sami Zayn taking down Ivar, CM Punk tosses Goldberg to the other side of the ring, and Sami Zayn pins Ivar to win it for his team, and the team of ragtag, anti-Goldberg haters end up picking up the win here. We're now going into December post-Survivor Series, and Goldberg, he didn't get pinned, so he doesn't have to defend his championship. But because Goldberg wants to ruin wrestling, he wants to do something else. He wants to fight the Intercontinental Champion and take away the championship from that person. And that champion right now is the Celtic Warrior Sheamus, who finally has won the Intercontinental Championship, becoming a Grand Slam champion in the WWE. And unfortunately for Sheamus, that dream of being a Grand Slam champion might be snuffed out because Goldberg is coming to knock it. As for the world title scene, after the War Games show, the four men involved at one are going to be fighting in a fatal four-way match to determine who's going to fight Goldberg for the World Championship at day one. But let's fast forward to Saturday night's main event. First match here is Goldberg challenging Sheamus for the Intercontinental Championship. Sheamus likes to fight, and he gave Bill Goldberg a hell of a fight. And surprisingly, Goldberg was able to hold up on his own, despite being like 58. But unfortunately for Sheamus, it just wasn't enough. And Sheamus, who's gotten just obliterated, like look at his chest and back, eats a jackhammer on the outside. Goldberg rolls him back in the ring and covers him and gets the 3. And Goldberg has done it. He has become the Intercontinental, NXT, and World Heavyweight Champions. Goldberg is becoming the belt collector, but he's doing it to ruin wrestling, something that John Cena couldn't do. And the other match that we have, Gunther versus Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. The winner goes to day one to fight Goldberg. And Gunther, with the powerbomb, is able to pick up the 3 by pinning Sami Zayn in the middle of the ring. Gunther, the man that was benched for months on end because he lost and put the War Games team together to fight Goldberg, is now getting one more shot at the World Championship. Of course, the main event of this show was John Cena officially retiring from WWE. Goodbye, John. Well, never see you again, I guess. At this point in the run, Goldberg is basically the top heel in WWE, which honestly sounds pathetic, but it's my video, so shut up. But now we head into the new year, and it's a big match for Goldberg. Goldberg is going to be defending the World Heavyweight Championship against the ring general Gunther, who had to scratch and claw and manipulate his way to get into this spot. Can Gunther become world champion again, or will Goldberg put him out of his misery for good? Unfortunately, just like at Saturday Night's main event when Gunther lost the championship, he once again failed. One jackhammer in 5 minutes, and Goldberg retains the championship. Alright, Gunther, that's it. It's over, bro. Get out of here. Go. Just go to AEW, okay? You can't beat Goldberg twice over. It's time to call it quits. But after this win, Goldberg decides to make a big announcement. He's tired. He's already decimated the entire main event scene on Raw. He's the mid-card Intercontinental Champion. He even went to NXT to become the champion of that brand as well, and he hasn't showed up since then. But Goldberg is now announcing that he will be entering the Royal Rumble match. That way, if he wins the Rumble, he can challenge for the undisputed WWE Championship and win that belt and retire with both the World Heavyweight and Undisputed Championships, thus ruining wrestling forever. But before we get to the Royal Rumble, NXT New Year's Evil. Shawn Michaels is sick and tired of Goldberg not showing up and being champion, so he's making sure, or at least going to try to, that Goldberg doesn't walk out as champion. So he will be defending his NXT Championship in a triple threat against Ethan Page and Trick Williams. And Goldberg tried to finish off Trick Williams, but Ethan Page came in with a baseball bat and cracked Goldberg in the skull, and then cracked Trick Williams in the skull too. And then an Ego's Edge by Ethan Page, and he actually pins Goldberg. Goldberg takes the L here, and Ethan Page becomes the NXT champion. Of course, Goldberg is not happy with this, so he confronts Shawn Michaels about it. But Shawn Michaels is like, well, sorry, Bill, you got pinned, brother. And Goldberg tells him, this isn't the end. I will be back, and I will be taking that championship and retiring with it, Shawn. Scary indeed. But enough of that. It's time for the Royal Rumble match, where Goldberg will be entering the Royal Rumble to ruin wrestling for all wrestling fans. And Goldberg gets a pretty good start in the Royal Rumble match. Goldberg gets the number 26 spot in the Royal Rumble and enters it. So this is like 30 minutes into the match, and Goldberg is ready to rumble. Now, you expect with how dominant Goldberg has been that he's going to make it to at least the Final 4 or Final 3, right? Well, no, you're wrong, because LA Knight just out of nowhere dumps Bill Goldberg out of the ring and eliminates him. Not even to the Final 5, and LA Knight eliminates Goldberg with the upset. Of course, because this is LA Knight and he never ever gets pushed, he gets eliminated like garbage by Roman Reigns, who then goes on to win the entire thing. When it comes down to both him and Randy Orton, one spear by Roman Reigns, and he eliminates Randy Orton, and Roman Reigns is going to WrestleMania again in his tracksuit. I don't know what happened to his ring gear, but yeah, tracksuit Roman Reigns is going to WrestleMania for the undisputed title, currently held by Cody Rhodes, probably. And now we're on the road to WrestleMania. Goldberg is still the World Heavyweight and Intercontinental Champions. And Goldberg's pretty, despite getting eliminated like he did, he still feels pretty good. But reality is about to come slap him straight in the face. Because Triple H comes to Goldberg and tells him, listen, alright, you're a double champion, and we can't have that going into WrestleMania. So you know what I'm going to do, Goldberg? I'm going to put you in an Elimination Chamber match where you defend your Intercontinental Championship against 5 other guys. Goldberg at first doesn't like it, but you know what? He's so confident in himself right now that he's like, fine, I'll do it. I could take on all of your cronies, Hunter. So Goldberg's going in defending the Intercontinental Championship against Karrion Kross, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, and Austin Theory. Yeah, Austin Theory. Goldberg might have felt good going into this match, but unfortunately that reality is going to come in the form of Bronson Reed. Because after Goldberg tries to do something really stupid and jumps off the chamber, he misses, and then Bronson Reed capitalizes and hits one tsunami in the ring, and Goldberg is the first man eliminated in the Elimination Chamber, losing his Intercontinental Championship. And Bronson Reed would actually surprise us. He would actually make it to the final two against Logan Paul. And both Reed and Paul go to war until out of nowhere Logan Paul with a clothesline from hell is able to put down the big man himself. And Logan Paul is your new Intercontinental Champion. That's great. That's cool. You know, who doesn't love Logan Paul, huh? Despite losing the Intercontinental Championship, and he could theoretically challenge Logan Paul for the Intercontinental Championship, unfortunately he doesn't have as many dates left in his contract, so he's just going to have to let that hang. With that story read complete, we need to figure out who's going to fight Goldberg for the World Championship at WrestleMania. To do this, we're going to have a good old 8-man battle royal to determine who's going to get the shot at WrestleMania. Except Gunther, he's gone because he sucks. We have CM Punk, Sami Zayn, Main Event Jey Uso, who's finally appearing, Rey Mysterio, El Grande Americano, Karrion Kross, Logan Paul, and Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman never got his shot, and now he's cashing in. And Paul Heyman, with a dominant run in this match, wins the Battle Royal, picking up 4 eliminations, and Paul Heyman is going to WrestleMania to challenge Goldberg for the World Championship. And Paul Heyman comes out the next week and explains what the fuck is happening. You stupid fans might have talked about Seth Rollins or Braun Breaker or Bronson Reed, but you never gave the wise man an opportunity. So you know what I had to do? I had to take my opportunity. And I took it in that Battle Royal, and I proved that why I am the best in the f***ing world. Alright? And at WrestleMania, I'm going to do something that is unspeakable. I'm going to beat Bill Goldberg in the middle of the ring and win the World Championship. And I will be the face of this company. Me, finally getting my respect. So Paul Heyman in the main event of WrestleMania. Sure, let's go with it. But before Goldberg heads into WrestleMania for his last match, he has a pit stop. Remember when he said he'd get back to NXT? Well, yeah, Goldberg is coming back to NXT, and he's gunning for the NXT Championship against Ethan Page at Stand and Deliver. And despite Ethan Page getting the ego's edge on Goldberg again, he kicked out this time. And with no baseball bat in tow, 1 spear and 1 jackhammer, and it's over. Goldberg wins the NXT Championship and is now going to retire with the championship whether Shawn Michaels likes it or not. Now it's time for WrestleMania Night 1, where Goldberg will be main eventing WrestleMania to defend the World Heavyweight Championship against an unlikely opponent in Paul Heyman, who's got both CM Punk and Roman Reigns in his soul and his ring gear. But will that be enough to unseat Goldberg? The match starts off with something unusual for both guys. Chain wrestling. And not just any chain wrestling, some actual pretty decent chain wrestling by both Goldberg and Paul Heyman. But of course, it's Goldberg, and he has to do the spear and the jackhammer. But Paul Heyman kicks out of both. So Goldberg, knowing only like spear, jackhammer, goes for another spear, but Paul Heyman gets a knee up, throws Goldberg to the ropes, and does a spear like Roman Reigns did. But this would not be enough to get the 3 here. Both men go to the outside, and Paul Heyman tries to get at Goldberg, but Goldberg out of nowhere nails him with a spear on the outside. Goldberg now going to try to roll him back in the ring and finish him off, but then, out of nowhere, Paul Heyman, in a last gasp attempt, hits a cravat neckbreaker thing to try to make Goldberg tap out, but it doesn't work at all, and another jackhammer, and it's over. Goldberg has retained the World Heavyweight Championship against the last bastion of the main event scene on Raw, Paul Heyman, which is a pretty big indictment of that show, to be honest. Now, you'd think this would be the end, but you'd actually be wrong on that front, as Goldberg, after the match, announces that as world champion, he's going to do something insane. Goldberg will be using the World Heavyweight Championship as like a cash-in, so he could be added into the main event of Night 2, making it a triple threat match, And now, the World Heavyweight and Undisputed WWE Championships will be on the line as Roman Reigns, Goldberg, and Cody Rhodes fight it out. Can Cody Rhodes do it, or will Goldberg and Reigns figure out a way to wiggle out of this? And despite these two malevolent forces trying to ruin wrestling, we got the good ending. And Cody Rhodes saves the WWE from the wrath of Goldberg and Roman Reigns as he beats both of them cleanly in the middle of the ring. Cody Rhodes is now the undisputed WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and Goldberg's plan to ruin wrestling has been dashed. Except NXT. That brand is cooked. But no one cares about NXT anymore. And that is how Goldberg's career truly ended. Or it will just end at Saturday Night's Main Event where he loses to Gunther in like 3 minutes. Thanks for watching and take care.